Welcome.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Dungeon Duets, the show where it's just me and her and us
doing a thing.
doing a thing.
Yeah. If you guys have been here before, welcome back.
So if we're actually streaming real quick,
Yes.
how do I look at that on
It should update if you're on the Twitch app. If you
on the
go,
dashboard?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, message dungeon. Okay,
There you go.
cool.
There you go. It'll essentially just be the chat screen. So, Casey's gonna put a thing up in the chat, I assume. If you wouldn't mind making a note and leaving a note there about audio. If you happen to be watching already, even though I can see there's 0 viewers.
Don't say that.
We had no audio last time, so if our audio cuts out or you get here and there is no audio, send us a message.
Please let us know.
Just let us know.
Cause that
sucked. Womped. I haven't said that in a while.
That fucking sucked.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, I didn't mean to put a question mark. If our audio is jacked?
Jacked?
Like,
It's
maybe I don't
fucking
know.
ripped.
Yeah. Fucking jacked. Okie dokie. So, let me just go ahead and start off with a recap of what was supposed to be episode 4.
What was episode 4?
What was episode 4?
We had an episode 4.
Yeah, we totally played.
No one else.
What happened was Tiriel continued her adventure inside of Palaven. After her and her party had defeated the ogres, she found herself in a mysterious orrery of elven origin. She also spotted something in her sights. She spotted a little pseudo-dragon. After a fun little tussle with it in order to get it to follow her.
It was a hot mess, everybody.
No, it was good. It was fun. It was fun. Eventually, it took some coaxing. It took a lot of shiny things. She managed to get the pseudo-dragon to come out and
chase the cat away. Fucking cat. Casey will continue that recap. I'm gonna go give the cat some food so she won't fuck with us.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
I will
This is
continue.
really flattering.
Oh.
Yeah, I love it. No.
So, to continue the recap. So she Tiriel, she found a pseudo-dragon. She ended up coaxing it with the ruby that she had gotten from the merchant. Oh, which that's something too, actually, in the beginning of the episode. No, that happened. Okay, never mind. She coaxed it with the ruby, and so the pseudo-dragon started hanging on her shoulder, just like clutching the ruby. Then she left. She saw that the orrery was sort of incomplete. It was definitely missing a few planes. The orrery was sort of the cosmological representation of the world and where the planes are in relation to it. The other planes, such as the Emerald Realm, the Cinderweld, the Enderdeep, things like that. So, where's my thoughts?
Sorry. Excuse me. Oh, pardon me. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm back. If you guys ever want to see pictures of our obnoxious cats, you can check us out on Instagram.
We do post
Dungeon
those.
Duets. Casey posts those.
I post those sometimes.
Anyway. Sorry.
So after coaxing the pseudo-dragon into joining her, Tiriel then made her way back to the Autumn Paths, and from there found a location called the Iron Citadel. The Iron Citadel showed this sort of prominent, sort of marble-looking monolith in the center that sort of just stood straight up. It had this sort of stone mosaic that wrapped up it, and the mosaic depicted a story of essentially the elves' first sojourn into Baranzaya. It showed them exiting the Emerald Realm and coming out from the World Tree. It shows them sort of making first contact with other humans and halflings and other races, dwarves and such. And then it shows also the elves having starting a conflict, or at least being in the midst of a conflict with an old empire. So after that, they also noticed that there was some orcs in this location, There were 4 orcs. Big burly leader orc. There was a female orc. There was a sort of short and scrawny half orc with some daggers and stuff who looked like he was more dexterous and nimble. And then another one that was all wrapped up in bandages. He looked sort of diseased, like he might have had leprosy or something akin to that, I guess. So they started talking with the party with the orcs. They found out that the reports of adventurers being just outright killed by these orcs was pretty exaggerated.
I mean, they were still killed by the orcs, but
sometimes
they were being killed in retaliation for the adventurers' own slights and attacks.
It's because prejudice, just can't keep it contained. Yeah. So the orcs being on the sort of the back end of that and having their gods and their ways of life insulted and being told to get out and stuff, responded because they're also, that's what they do. That's their culture. If you make fun of who they are, they beat you up. So that's sort of what happened. So Tiriel found out the story of it, at least their perspective, and then made a bargain with them because what they wanted is they wanted to get further into Palafin. They wanted to test themselves against the sort of the city. They wanted to adventure and discover more.
I hate her. She's the worst. Just ignore.
Anyways, so they wanted to adventure, discover more. So Tiriel promised that if she could get the gate open, that they would then move on through, and they would make more of an effort to leave adventures alone more officially, and maybe keep their egos in check if their gods were ever insulted, things like that. So then after that, Tiriel finally made her way to the Ruby Gate, found it, discovered it, looked upon it in all of its sort of ruby grandeur. She also witnessed a battle between sort of two groups of shadowy entities. Ones were these shadow mastiffs that were racing and clashing this other group of like these sort of lithe shadow elves. They had blades at the ready, and they easily struck and killed these shadow hounds, forced them to retreat before picking them off very cleanly. And then all of them just disappeared. They left virtually no trace. Tiriel then advanced forward and found that the shadow elves would appear when she got within a certain distance,
50 feet.
like 50 feet or so.
Yeah.
And she found that she could, or at least she didn't attempt to move any closer.
I moved a little bit closer.
She moved a little bit closer.
Not enough.
Not enough.
I was nervous.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with her other than put her outside.
I'm gonna kill her.
I'm
gonna make shoes out of her.
Don't. You could maybe get a good slipper out of her. Intermission again to chase the cat away. We're off to a great start.
I locked her in Rachel's room.
Oh, that's great. That's fine.
She's not gonna like it.
All right,
so cat dealt with. Done. You get some experience for that. All right. Not enough. You get like 2. At least give you 2 instead of 1. Instead of 0. I'm a generous DM.
We're not even leveling up our experience. We're doing milestone leveling.
Yeah. All right. So.
Yes.
After she encountered these beings, the party left and went back to Vale. When they arrived back in Vale, it was about nighttime. Danica and Maravir found Kurgan inside of the Crying Cree Tavern, and Kurgan notified them.
Kurgan?
Kurgan.
I don't think it's Kurgan.
I think it's Kurgan.
That's the guy from the Highlander.
Shoot, you're right. Highlander. It's Durgan. It's close. It's too close.
You keep doing that.
I do. I don't know why. Durgan. They met with Durgan, and Durgan informed them that he was going to be leaving in the morning. And so, pretty much, they all finished up their bounties, except they left Tiriel to deal with the pseudo-dragon however she felt or feels fit.
It still got my shit.
It still got her shit. Yeah, it doesn't really want to part with the ruby, it seems. So anyways, in the morning, Sanguine and Agrahim also quickly leave their company, leave the party, saying they had business elsewhere.
Do their trio of guards rematerialize the second they're back in the city? I'm just curious.
You don't see them.
Yeah.
You'd have to make a perception check. But we're not doing that right now. Nope.
Okay.
In the morning, Tiriel discovers Mervir and Danica have left. Basically, they got a early morning head start. They probably spent the night, you guys probably spent the night drinking and carousing, having a little fun.
Yeah, sure.
And now you are back in the Crying Cree Tavern in the morning. Slight headache from the events of the day before.
Probably
So yeah, you have a pseudo-dragon still in your pack. He is sleeping soundly on all your stuff. The ruby with the symbol of the lion on it just clutched into his chest.
Perfect.
He is purring with delight. What are you gonna do?
I'd like to, before I leave, gather up all the rest of his hoard that Miles is probably still carting around.
Miles has it in his belly.
Love it. I'm gonna pick up Miles and shake out all this stuff. Like pulling the stuffer on a piggy bank.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
Totally. I mean, you grab him, he's like, woo! And you just, and then cling, 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 and there's various odds and ends, a lot of trinkets and baubles, stuff that really, like old rusty spoons, shards of metal, anything shiny that Pseudo-Dragon thought had value. There are some significant things though. The one there is the goblet, the encrusted goblet that the Pseudo-Dragon was definitely sort of like nesting in, laying in. There's that. There is the moldering book that was on top of. You guess that probably wasn't a part of its hoard.
Might have been in the cabinet.
It was just already there, probably. Yeah. It's in pretty bad shape. But it is written. At least if you decide to flip a page, you'll notice that a lot of the text that you can read and is still salvageable is written in like some sort of essentially ancient Elven dialect.
Gotcha.
So about a dialect from who knows how long.
Okay.
You see the medallion of Magrin. There is a ring, sort of tarnished looking ring with actually it's got like a little cat head on it, with a tiny gem inside of the cat's mouth. So you also see a topaz of good size, worth about 50 gold. And then a boot. Just a solid boot.
Just a boot.
Yeah, the Pseudo-Dragon was probably living in this before he found found the goblet.
Nice.
Yeah. At least that's what you could probably guess.
Tiriel
But it's a nice
probably
boot.
like cautiously like opens up the boot and shakes it to make sure there's not still like a foot in it.
No foot.
Cool.
A little bit of Pseudo-Dragon poop.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll shake the rest of that out.
Yep.
That's...
But the boot it's a pretty nice boot. It's got a spur on it.
Nice.
Yep.
Just
Boot
one
with
spur.
with a spur.
Nice. Is it like just one of the little pokey spurs or one of the ones with a wheel on it?
It's a pokey spur. Yeah, but it's made out of some nice material.
Nice.
It's like some not necessarily gold, some like fake gold made to look like sort of green gold.
Nice.
Probably.
Nice. It's like really shiny brass. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just sort of run through her usual routine and do. So I have
Mage armor.
mage armor.
Get your spells prepared for the day.
Yeah, and go ahead and ritual cast detect magic and identify on the stuff out in front of me.
Okay, so the only thing of any magic is the ring. It is a ring of luck, which means I believe you get a +1 to all your skills, and you get a +1 to your saving throws. I will look it up just in case.
That seems like a lot.
Doesn't it? It's because I love you. And I'm a generous DM who eventually wants to throw really hard things at you. I'm
Sooner
preparing
rather
you.
than later.
Yeah.
We'll having noted that the ring is something...
we'll say that's what it does, because I can't...
It's something notable.
Oh, was it a stone of good luck? Is that what it was in this?
I don't know.
Yeah, +1 to ability checks and saving throws. Yep.
Wow.
It's uncommon, too, boo.
Uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That means it's fair game right now.
Ring of luck. You said +1 to...
ability saves?
Just all ability
checks.
checks.
Yeah.
And
Saving throws and ability checks.
Wow. Okay, I will remember that. Yeah. Tiriel just sort of put that on, look at it, and then just reach in and scratch the pseudo dragon just appreciatively.
You'll make a nice pet for someone.
Yeah, eventually. I'll train him and teach him some things and then sell him for more.
Oh, you're not selling him.
Well, he doesn't seem to want to leave.
He doesn't. I mean, he doesn't want to leave your item.
And I can't part with that item, so...
By the way, the ring does require attunement.
Okay.
You don't have anything currently that requires attunement. What about the cloak?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the book for that.
What kind of cloak is it?
It's Cloak of Elvenkind.
Cloak of Elvenkind!
Elvenkind! So yeah, I'll just put that on where that would...
Oh, it does require attunement. So you have 2 items currently that you have on with attunement.
Cool.
I don't believe you have anything else that does.
It's just those.
All right.
Yeah, because he doesn't seem to want to part with that, and I'm unwilling to part with it, so... Short of turning him into a horrible rage monster if I were to separate them and turn him in.
That'd be sad.
I would feel bad.
Oh.
I was not kind to him. My efforts to catch him, and Tiriel feels bad.
It's true. You weren't the nicest. Real quick.
Yes.
Let me check how much money you're gonna get.
Oh yeah.
From the ogre quest.
Because we did kill 2 ogres, so...
You did.
We were gonna kind of upsell that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Danica brought back toes to prove it.
So it's 1,500, so you each would have gotten 500. Let's say that you just get 700. 700 is how much you get total. There's still also the quest of hunting 2 boulets.
Does it say where those are on the quest description?
They're somewhere in the Iron District.
Just somewhere in the Iron District?
I mean, the fact that the quest exists means they've been spotted.
Well, yeah, but where did someone spot them? It doesn't say on the, like...
No.
Okay.
Uh-uh.
Really, just so I know where not to go.
It could be anywhere.
It could be anywhere, and if you fucking go to a laser man,
maybe just one. And then another.
Yeah, so given that everyone took off before I got up in the morning, I'll gather up my stuff, separate out. Obviously, I'm wearing the ring already. Take the book out of that pile, because I want the book.
Okay.
And I want to take that and spend some time taking a look at it. I would like to... I want to sit for a moment. I mean, actually, I don't even have to sit. I can just do it. I'm going to cast Magic Aura on that goblet.
Okay.
How do I do it on the goblet? If I were to look at the goblet and get like a rough price estimate off of it, what would I... Because I'm trying to decide if I cast this on the goblet or if I cast this on specifically the spur. How much does the goblet look like it's worth if I were to sort of eyeball it?
I mean, the goblet, it's tarnish. You know, it's old.
So it has gems on it.
It's got some gems on it, but a lot of them are chipped and sort of worn.
Gotcha.
For instance, the goblet the guy tried to sell you,
Okay.
much nicer.
Okay.
This is a less nice goblet.
How clean could I get it with prestidigitation?
Not too clean.
Okay.
Just because a lot of the damage done to it is from wear and tear over time.
Okay.
You can't repair that.
Gotcha.
You can certainly clean it up as well as you can, but you can't reverse like chemical processes and stuff.
Okay. So that's fine. I'm gonna cast it on the spur. So, just so you know, it has I'm gonna give it the false aura.
This is a ritual spell, right?
It is not a ritual spell.
Oh, you're actually burning.
I'm burning a spell slot.
What level is it?
It's 2nd level.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll have a false aura. You can make a non-magical object appear magical. Or change an object's magical aura so it appears to belong to a specific school of magic. And you can make the false magic apparent to any creature who handles the item. So, I'm going to cast it on the spur. I'm going to leave it attached to the boot for the time being. Just in case that helps. And then I'm going to take pretty much all of the other junk and have Miles carry it for me again. Because it's... Yeah. I guess I'll keep the gem out of it and the ring and the book.
Yep.
And
Miles shuffles over to all the items and just... And you can hear the pseudo-dragon a little bit just growl just a tiny bit at his old loot and just sort of being re-injured by what had happened last time.
I just reach in and I tuck the topaz in next to him and he can just hold both of those for me.
Okay. He like shuffles a topaz under his head and just bunk lays on it.
I love him.
Yeah.
Cool. Well then,
I love you, greedy creature.
I love you. Yeah, then I will make my way into the marketplace.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you make your way over to the marketplace. Vale is pretty much the same as it was the day before. A lot of people seem to be leaving Vale more so than coming to Vale at this point. It could be because it's sort of it's like mid-autumn is the season. Yeah, I think it's mid-autumn. And so yeah, a lot of people are packing up and going, you know, or the people who are hunkering down are busy doing the things they need to do to get ready for winter. Even adventurers, you notice, are starting to come up in short supply. But you make your way over to the merchant. Are you going to that merchant specifically?
Yes.
That you made a deal with the other day? Okay. So you go over to him, and you actually see him, like, searching his whole stall. Like, he keeps turning over things, like, and puts it back, turns over another thing, damn it, and then, like, looks through other things and is just, like, shuffling through everything.
Did I learn his name the last time?
Bertrand. We're both taking notes. Because sometimes it's hard to remember the random names you give NPCs.
That's really... Also, sometimes you need them to write a recap because your stream crapped out on you.
The more notes, the better.
Yeah.
Remember that. D&D tip number 1. You might as well just take notes.
Yeah. Yeah, well then I will sort of call out to him. Bertrand.
Yeah. Yo. Oh, hey. Yeah. Hello.
Morning. How's everything going?
Good. Really good.
Miles, would you mind? Sort of. I'm gonna just help myself to, like, push a little clear space on the table.
Okay.
Show him what we found.
he just releases his stuff, like he's like a lot of things. And he's like, woo! And then like ting 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 climbs like out of the way so that the merchant can go ahead and look at all this stuff. He's like, oh, some stuff you brought from the ruin.
Yes. Yes.
I see you've remembered our deal. Very good.
Of course.
Okay. And he like picks up the goblet. He's like, not too bad. Puts it down. Picks up the medallion. He says, you might want to turn this in.
Why would I turn it in?
It's got like some identifying magic on it. For
That
the
is identifying.
person it used to belong to.
Would I have detected that?
You would have. Sorry. Yeah.
Tiriel probably like,
Notes.
wasn't really
Notes,
paying
people.
attention to the
Right.
amulet of Margaret anyway. Well, this like, fine. Pocket it.
Also, the boot pops out. The book you kept aside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, some of the other various baubles and trinkets.
Forks, spoons. Yeah.
Right.
All of it's on the table.
He's looking at all of it and he's like, I'm not sure if this will cover the rest of the cost that ruby was. This is some this is junk. To be honest, this is junk. And you are like looking at all the stuff he has and it's clearly more junk.
Mm-hmm.
But
Are you sure?
I mean, the goblet's nice. The boot, not bad. A fine make. Good boot, but I'm not into boots. And where's the other boot? What am I gonna do with one boot? With a spur?
But what could you do with an enchanted spur?
Enchanted?
There's definitely magic on that.
Is there?
It is.
Oh.
You can take a look. If you could see that there was magic on the amulet, you will be able to tell that there's magic there.
Well, I didn't see there was magic. There's just normally.
It's normally magic.
Just protocol.
Nice save.
For adventurers. He takes the boot with a spur and he unfurls a little scroll. He plops it on his desk and he mutters a little bit of arcane decipherment in which he triggers the effect of the scroll itself. And yeah, they was essentially he had a scroll of identifying. And so he's using it to now identify the magic of your boot and see that, oh wow, it is. It's enchanted. But I can't quite tell what it does.
Interesting. Okay. I'm just double checking because I could have changed an existing thing to a specific school of magic. But it's like I could not tell you, but I figured as part of our deal, I would offer you whatever I found, and if it's interesting enough to you, you can have it.
It is enchanted.
I was not able to puzzle together exactly how myself, but perhaps if you sent adventurers in looking for the other spur, you could tell what the rest of it is. I can tell you where I found it.
I will pay you handsomely for that other boot. This will cover, I think, the cost of the ruby. And he starts like shoveling all this stuff and just like pulling it back towards him. Yes, I think this will do. If you find the other boot, though, please let me know.
I'll be on the lookout.
I'll pay you handsomely.
I know.
It must be why this one's magic is sort of incomplete.
I suspect the same, if we could find the other one. It was in a temple inhabited by ogres, so I assume the other boot is very likely somewhere in there.
Oh.
The ogres are gone, so it'll be easy for someone to, myself or whoever, to pick through and look for a specific boot for you.
Yeah, very good. All right. Well, I think our business is concluded here. I am still looking for something. And he's like, just sort of like shoves some of the stuff back with him, pulls it into his arms, and like starts placing it in various spots. There's like a little cabinet underneath where you can put more things.
Does he have any just straight gemstones of any kind?
No, not that you can
Okay.
see. It seems like the ruby was the last sort of straight up gemstone that he had.
Gotcha.
A lot of it's still just junk, like sort of, I don't know, like stuff you might find in an antique shop, you
Love
know. That's sort of the stuff that he has.
It's a glorified garage sale
Right.
table.
Right.
Yeah, love it. It's what should have been the free table at the garage sale.
Yeah.
That's when he's got price tags on it. Well, have a lovely day, Bertrand.
Bye. Thanks for doing business.
Anytime. I'm gonna make my way through the rest of the stalls, see if there's anything that catches my eye that wasn't there literally the day before.
Yeah, there's not too many new things.
Mm-hmm.
No one else really that you noticed was inside of Palavin or had went to Palavin, besides you and your group. So everything being brought back that is new, at least to the merchants who are hawking things from the city.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing new per se, but there's still quite a bit of things.
Okay.
So if you'd like to maybe go search for something.
Tiriel has money to spend. Yeah. I'd go look. I do want to look for any, like, decent sized gemstones that I might be able to bribe the pseudo dragon with. And if I have to let him out to shop himself, I will.
Okay.
So
me
Tiriel
see.
spends a little while meandering the stalls until she finds someone who probably has multiple to pick from. And goes from there.
You're not sure. You don't see anyone with like that ruby was pretty extraordinary, especially
Okay.
just to be sitting out. And it cost you quite a hefty sum. You had to literally give him most of the gold that you had, plus 2 fake platinum. Plus 3 fake platinum. Plus the promise of the stuff you just brought back to him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a whole
Plus
lot of
the promise of a spider full of junk.
there's not a whole lot of gems that you see. I mean, there probably is like a. Yeah, I don't know if there'd even be like a jeweler in town.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, if she doesn't really spot anything promising, then
No.
she'd move on.
Oh, by the way, did you say you wanted to spend time with that book and read it?
I would like to go to Calthenna first.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm sure her housekeeper will leave me waiting for at least 20 or 30 minutes that I can get started on that book. So that would be my next stop after
Okay.
the merchant's market.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
almost said market. No,
Market.
wasn't right.
The merchant square. Yeah, you easily find Calthenna's tower. You knock on the door. This time you're not kept waiting, however. This time Calthenna actually opens the door. Same lady that you saw last time. Old, half-elven, large amounts of falling tresses of brunette hair. Her like green, sort of greenish eyes that she has. She welcomes you with a smile, and she says, "Tiriel, it's so nice to see you. Please come in. I assume you've been to Palavin and you've found some things."
We have.
Excellent. Come in, please. She welcomes you inside, and you guys go ahead and sit yourself down in her kitchen. It's sort of like, you noticed last time when you came in there was like a large foyer. This time it's more of just like a straight and narrow hallway.
So it's not the same as when last time I walked in?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
love it.
It's not the same. This time it seems more homey. Like this is like a tiny magical section of her own like personal home, essentially. And you cut off to the right and you enter into a small little kitchen, where she has some magical appliances going,
Nice.
essentially.
Microwave.
No, she doesn't have a microwave. She has like a little. She has like a a fireplace, right? And she has hanging over it just a pot of water, right? Seems like she plans on making tea. But inside of that fire is like a small creature inside. A small creature with like, who just sort of is like mischievously looking out at you and like grinning and stuff. And he like has this like molten like skin, but he keeps like sneezing or blowing his nose, something like that. You're not sure, but every time he does, like the fires just flares up a little bit. It seems like he might be the thrall or not of Calthenna, and she's using him to make fire.
Nice.
Yeah.
I approve. Well then, yeah, I'll just sort of sit myself down and start pulling stuff out of my pack. I just sort of like pull the pseudo-dragon out and just push him to the end of the table.
Okay. Oh, is that a pseudo-dragon?
It is. And what he has, I think you might find interesting. I'm going to sort of turn him around and...
He's got the ruby?
He's probably still holding the ruby.
It's a very large gem, and it's very nice, and she, like, reaches for him, he's like...
It's easy if you just pick him up.
Okay. She, like, sort of, like, scoops him up tentatively at first, but then, like, is, like, looking at it, and he's just, like... He's clutching it, and he's, like, curiously studying her back. Sort of, like, curled edges of his mouth are still, like, up in this pleasant smile. Yeah, he's definitely watching her back. Meanwhile, she's trying to like get a good look at the ruby, like eyeing it, and every time she does,
I'm like watching them, but also pulling out all of her maps.
Oh,
and
okay.
The book I found.
Gotcha.
My spell book, like, pretty much everything I plan to work on. Like, I'm making myself at home.
Nice. Okay. She keeps trying to eye, and every time she does this, he's like, and he just keeps like pulling it back away from her, so she can't really get a good look at it.
And can I just reach across and sort of like poke him in the head?
No.
Let her look at it. Let her look at it. Or I'll make the spider steal it. She'll give it back.
And he eventually, very reluctantly, offers it up. To just like let her study it. He still holds it in like his tiny little dragon claws, and he like spins it around, and eventually she notices a sort of like the setting in it, you know, how the ruby's sort of set into this piece of like metal with the symbol of a lion on it. She says, oh, that's very interesting. I mean, that's a pertinent symbol I've noticed in Palaven and other elven structures.
I wasn't able to get close enough to the ruby gates to know for sure. But I know they're connected. Whatever magic is in this responded to the gates.
Interesting. She does like quietly like perform the somatic components with her hands, as she's sort of tracing some like sigils through the air. And does do detect magic, and she figures out that yes, there's this faint pulse, this faint energy of magic in the thing, and it's not too descript as to what it is, but she notices as well. She's like, oh, I see, it does have a little bit of magic in it, doesn't it? Interesting. And the pseudo dragon, did it come with it?
He was actually supposed to be turned in with a quest.
However, that's right.
I find him to be a very effective guardian of that ruby, and so I'll hang on to him for the time being.
Interesting. You've made yourself a little friend, and she rubs him under the chin.
You can keep him if you like him.
I am fine.
Well, it was worth a try.
Yes. You can pawn him off to some other wizard in training, perhaps. Okay. Well, tell me what happened. What did you find?
I give her the sort of breakdown, and I'll pull out her maps, and because I was making my own sketches and
you made the addition of the orrery.
The orrery, I made the addition of where that path opened up for us, and
so that path wasn't there before. It must have opened up During your journey?
Mm-hmm.
The city has a habit of doing that. We never found that temple. That's so interesting.
Yes, well, it's rather unpleasant on the inside. There were ogres in it.
Oh, ogres. I'm so glad you're okay.
Me too. I thought it was going to be much more difficult than it was, but...
You had a party with you, I believe?
Very capable party. I think all I really needed to do was throw a few magic missiles and that was about it.
I'm glad you're fine.
But yes, the Ori, tell her about the interaction we had with the orcs. And that they're there, but they should be,
They went further into Palaven?
They do.
I wonder why.
I do too, but I figure... I don't know. They can't be too much of a problem. As long as they agree to leave the other adventurers alone.
That's what we want.
Yeah. And then what else? Was there anything else? That monolith.
The monolith, yes.
And also what happened at the Ruby Gates. I would tell her about that too.
Oh, peculiar. You mean those shadow guardians, the ones that you're describing, the ones with the blue skin. Those are the ones I was talking about.
What about those dogs?
I've never seen those before.
Oh, they are a problem. And they seemed very much in opposition to the guardians that you spoke about. So when I first saw the hounds, I thought that was what the guardians that people were talking about. But then we saw these figures at the gates, and that was something else entirely.
Strange. But couldn't they have just been monsters fighting? The guardians maybe just happened to get in conflict with them, but...
But why... I have to wonder why the hounds were there in the first place. Because they sort of arrived... I don't know. The way the guardians arrived seemed unusual.
Unusual?
Not that I've ever seen shadow guardians appear elsewhere, but they just...
They're summoned.
They're summoned?
I don't know if they're summoned, but it seems like they're summoned. Not from anyone. They're summoned upon certain conditions being met. When I was there for the first time, it was only when we got close. And that was the only time that they came. And they didn't act unless we got closer. That's it.
How close?
I don't know, a good 60, 50 feet or so.
It's about as close as I was able to get before they appeared.
We tried getting closer, but they made it very clear that they did not want us getting anywhere near the Ruby Gate.
Did they talk to you?
No, I'm not sure they can talk.
Interesting.
They talk to you?
No.
Interesting.
Has anyone else, I guess, more experienced encountered them? Or just yourself and whoever with you?
Just with me and the adventurers that I hired, but they are long since gone. And no one I know has had any sort of experience with these types of creatures. But I think if we can find... I believe that ruby may have another component to it. Might have another part that you're missing. And if we can find that in the ruin, perhaps we can figure out how to open the gate.
How would you go about tracking down something so small?
Weeks of combing, unfortunately. I don't know.
Can I ask a sort of metagame question?
Sure.
Locate object? Do you have to know the specific object?
Look it up.
And then my question would be, is that something she has access to? Because it's above my pay grade as a 4th level adventurer.
Depends.
Locate object.
She also has spells that you can purchase, by the way.
Yes, I was going to get to that. So one thing at a time.
Alright, sorry, geez, okay, fine.
She's like, hey, you want to like pay me for some more magical stuff?
Would you like to give me money? Please give me money. I need money, clearly.
A lot of money to give away.
I must have more. I'm a maniac. For money.
So, it can locate a specific object known to you. Alternatively, the spell can locate the nearest object of a particular kind, such as a certain kind of apparel, jewelry, furniture, tool, or weapon.
I don't know. With that description, doesn't sound like you'd be able to locate the other part of this.
I would think that the nearest object of a particular kind. So if you were to be like, I want to find the next closest thing to this.
Right, but of a particular kind. You don't know if the gem is affixed to, I don't know, say a lightning conductor or something. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So.
Yeah.
The gem is a gem, and you could find other kinds of gems, and if the other part is a gem, that certainly would work.
It's only second level. I could get this.
It's only second level.
Yeah, locate object is only second level.
She doesn't have in her spellbook for you to copy right now.
Well, she should.
Nope.
I mean, it's not that's gonna help me at this point, but so we just established that. So interesting.
Very interesting.
So do you think we would be better served to get to the gates and see what we can find, or should we hunt for the other part of this?
I don't know.
Because if we can tell that the gates are missing something specific, this fits into part of the keyhole.
Yes, I believe if we travel back to the gates, and we let this object, this ruby, if I can see its magic, more strongly react to the door, we might somehow be able to use that to devise something, a spell that can locate the other side. It's a long shot, but it would at least be something, I think, for me to study it up close while we're there. Of course, I have some combat prowess, but I prefer not to fight if I can. Do you think we would want to bring anyone with us?
I think we should definitely bring someone else with us. The shadow hounds we encountered were...
You think you'd encounter more of them?
I would rather not, but should it happen, we should be prepared.
There's not many adventurers right now for us to pull from. What about your friends that you went with?
They've left.
They've left?
Yes.
Oh no.
Well, what if... I don't know if you want to go today, but I have some things I'd like to do my day, and perhaps with your help as well. Some things to get prepared, and we can see who's in town. I have an amulet I need to return to the Adventurers Guild anyway, so
maybe we just see if we can find someone.
See if we can find somebody.
I noticed that book there.
Yes.
And shall we take a look?
I would love to. Also, what spells might you have available?
Oh, spells. Okay, well let me just get out of that mode and into DM mode. She has, at a first level, Charm Person, Disguise Self, False Life, Grease, and Protection Against Good and Evil.
Okay.
Second level, she has Enlarge and Reduce. She has Blindness, Deafness. She has Levitate, Blur, Spider Climb, Web, and Suggestion. At third level, she has Hypnotic Pattern.
I can't do any third level, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'll get to that later, I'm sure.
Okay.
But, Disguise Self. And... Blur. Levitate. Super helpful. Or just fun?
Just fun, maybe.
Levitate. And you said blindness, deafness?
Yes.
Huh.
I believe those are both the same spell.
They
you
are.
get to choose one or the other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it costs 50 gold per level of the spell.
Yes.
Did I copy? An hour, 50 gold per level.
How many is it
It's an hour.
per level?
An hour per level.
Okay.
And 50 gold per level.
Okay. Okay. Well, she's gonna charge a $10 or
$10.
$10. She's charging 10 gold on top of it, a 10 gold fee on top of whatever you copy from her spellbook.
Okay.
Also, you guys begin looking at the book.
Okay.
It's not a whole lot to go off of. A lot of it's pretty heavily damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Especially from the pseudo dragon, your little friend right in your backpack.
He's probably still on the table.
Yeah, yeah. He's just like rolling around with the ruby and stuff, and he's like batting at it and playing with it. And then Miles like pulls himself over the table to like watch the pseudo dragon. Just like woo, woo. And then you have what's your
Sindri.
Sindri. I was about to say Mordred because
It's
so many familiars. Sindri. You notice that Sindri is not really too concerned with anything. He's just been sort of like on your shoulders and like hugging your neck and just sort of sleeping the day away, like cats do. The book actually, and Calthenna's pretty amazed by what she can read and can see, is that it sort of details some of the systems of magic that power the city.
Oh, interesting.
It seems like that at some point, that the Palaven had sort of districts, or not that they had districts, they had sort of these locations where they had like these magical generators. These generators essentially were powered the city in various ways. A lot of the sort of information around that is a little damaged. But like for instance, one way the city was powered magically is that the streets were actually lit up during nighttime. And that sort of the magic would flow through the very ground itself on the streetways and on all the like thoroughways and pathways to sort of light up pathways for people. And she's not sure, but she thinks that they actually would only activate as elves and people would pass by. But so that's sort of what it seems to be saying. And she's like, oh, this is amazing. Does this mean that there is somewhere in the Iron District even, a location, where there is this sort of generator that they're talking about? I don't know.
Is there no legible information on locations of these?
Not that I can see. A large chunk, and she actually like scoops out some of just like damaged paper. It's just so horribly just molded and just ruined from time, pseudo dragon and weather and other things.
There would have to be a way to track these connections back.
Maybe. I'm not sure exactly how they work. It is magic. I mean, it just could seep through the ground and... I don't know.
But how would you direct it? There would have to be networks and systems of enchantments overlaid over each other to tell the magic where to go.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I know the city seems to still retain some of its power and still seems to be able to move and function with some of that magic left over. I don't think it's entirely gone.
This is a strange question. Has anyone tried just asking the city?
Why would they ask the city?
I just find myself wondering that monolith we found.
Yes.
And the symbols on it and what it talked about. It had imagery of sentience and intelligence and wisdom tied into the construction of the city itself. So...
Interesting. It's not... I certainly read those symbols, but I didn't see how they were tied to the city or embedded in its...
I think they would either convey they were trying to teach those things to the residents.
Oh, that is my initial theory.
Given how alone a city designed to make others more intelligent has been, who's to say it hasn't just been working on itself?
I'm not sure. I know that we have, of course, magics to animate things, to make things move, and so the city moving is not entirely out of the question, but do we have magics to grant things their own intelligence? Especially things as grand, as big as cities, I'm not sure. I mean, you're from one of the last remaining ancient elven cities. What do you think?
I think that from what I know of the World Tree and the way it's connected to things and the way it connects us to the Emerald Realm, I would find it very hard to believe if someone told me that it was not intelligent in some way and it didn't have a presence of its own. And so, I don't know what's at the heart of Palaven, but why couldn't it be something like that?
I guess it could.
It could.
And maybe that's why it undermines and foils our attempts to get past it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it summoned these guardians to keep people out. Interesting.
I think there's something wiser and more complicated than simply a city left to its own devices behind all of this. The city itself couldn't have just summoned guardians like those unless there's more going on.
It could be.
Unless there's another intelligence behind it, or unless the city itself has grown into something more.
Huh.
Just my thoughts.
Interesting.
Copying some spells.
Yeah, so you guys talk about these things for a little while longer. You drink your tea and stuff. You watch as the creature in the fireplace, every once in a while, Calthenna has to shoot it a glare because it's sort of trying to tiptoe its way out of the fireplace, and there are these hot embers on the floor that she has to extinguish with prestidigitation and stuff.
Calthenna, why not just have a normal fire?
Because normal fires are boring. You
That one is terrifying. So
for the first time ever, after you asked her that, you get the sense of why she's a wizard. She's not in it to do things the normal way. But yes, so you can go ahead. You can copy the spells that you want,
okay,
of a first and second level. Let's go ahead and do that.
I'm taking Disguise Self and Blindness Deafness.
Blindness, deafness. So you can make people old. In need of a cane.
Well, no. Oops.
I don't know why I'm saying the same.
I don't know why you say a lot of things, so that's fine. 5.
Love.
Down to 598 gold.
That's what it is.
12.
12?
12.
12?
Princess Bride. 12 is what brings us together. Why do you not know this?
I have no idea.
Guys.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Singular person.
I have no idea what you're talking about. And there's no one there. It's
There's
false.
one person.
It's a red
there.
herring.
It's not.
Twitch just wants to make us think someone's watching so we don't give up.
It's not true.
You're a fucking liar.
Princess Bride. It's the like priest who like officiates the wedding towards the end. It's hilarious.
I don't remember that.
Well, I'll pull up the clip later.
I don't remember a lot of that movie.
That's okay.
We should go on like a binge of just.
All right, go ahead. A binge of just movies that we should have seen.
Yeah, we should remember. Yeah, like we have seen, but we don't remember. Like there's a lot of them, you know.
Just when all of our friends make those pop culture movie references, we can do something other than stare at them blankly.
Yeah, and be like, I don't get it. All right, to all you people who just make pop culture references and you expect everyone else to know it, they don't. Okay, be kind. Learn that not everyone fucking remembers everything.
So it'll take me at least 3 hours to copy these.
Okay.
And as long as Calthenna's cool with that, Tiriel would just do it there. I mean, she'd have to do it there because it's her spell book. So.
Yep. Eventually, she takes you up into another section of the tower, where it sort of radically transforms back into that the space that you recognize from the first time you visited. And then in her study, you find her book. She sort of places the book that you brought her on her desk, and she starts now pulling other volumes from her bookcases. Sometimes without even actually going to them. Sometimes they're pulled out by mage hand, or sometimes they're pulled out by a unseen servant. And soon, it doesn't take it. You're maybe like 10, 20 minutes into copying a spell when you look back and you notice that she has now all these books laid out. And over time, you're going through, you're sort of copying and practicing minor components of the spell. You're muttering incantations to yourself. You're sort of tracing sigils to the air. All these things to help you practice and memorize the spells that you're going to learn. Which were what again? Because I just want to cross them off. So
just for now, I'm taking Disguise Self and Blindness Deafness.
Disguise Self is great. And so is Blindness Deafness. Hot fire. That's what she says. Hot fire, Tiriel. Good job.
You left that downstairs. It's probably climbing out right now.
Oh, that reminds me. She rushes off downstairs. All right. So, with that being said, what do you want to do now?
Yeah, when I'm done with that, I will head back to the Adventurers Guild Tavern Hall, whatever it's called.
The Crying Creed Tavern, with the attachment of the sort of guild hall next to it, yeah.
And maybe before I leave, see if Calthenna herself wants to write up, like a little, looking for blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
With her name on it.
Certainly, yeah. She writes something up.
Okay.
That she'd like to essentially make, it's very fancy the way it's written and sort of the polished
whatever
language.
Official language should be going up on that board.
And it's that she would like someone to, she would like a group, preferably at least a single other adventurer alongside the aforementioned named Tiriel, to go into Palvin for an expedition to the Ruby Gate. She is searching for an object in particular. She sort of states that it may take days to discover this and what they're looking for. So, there's sort of like a warning attached to it, like if you accept this quest, know that come prepared, exactly. So yeah. You notice that in the guild hall is kind of dead. You bring back the medallion. They thank you for that. There is some sort of I guess the spell inside of it would be something like that one spell where you can like store a message or something.
Oh yeah.
Or like a certain phrase or something. Magic Mouth or something like that. Yeah. Where it sort of repeats back the information of the adventure that fell.
You could totally set the parameters of that.
Right. So they're like magical dog tags essentially. Cool. Also something I want to clarify, because we talked about the sort of symbols of the Alliance and the banner that you see, which I've not clarified because I just figured out what it was a couple of days ago. The banner you notice for the Alliance is the symbol of it itself. It's on this sort of like black banner, blackish banner. It's not totally black. You think it might be like some shade of purple or even like dark brown, something like that. The fabric has sort of like a sheen to it, but sort of embroidered into the fabric is the symbol of a moon. There's a moon first, and then there's this triangle. You can't see the point of the triangle, but it splits out from the moon at about the like 9 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or something like that.
Gotcha.
And then curves over, and this like half triangle, this pie shape.
A moon triangle like this.
Yeah.
Out of it. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's split into 3 parts. Not like sectioned off. Yeah, it's like that. Yep.
Okay.
It probably
Scale.
curves out a little bit more with some flair to it. You know what I'm saying?
Like here curves out?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll draw it for you eventually,
Cool.
so you can actually
We'll
see
sketch
it.
it up.
And so you see on in this triangle piece there is the symbol of a griffin.
Oh, so inside the triangle.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Inside the triangle, there's a symbol of a griffin, symbol of a fire, sort of towards the top and in the middle, and then there is the symbol of a raven on the other side of the griffin.
Gotcha.
This is a symbol of the Alliance. It's got this like interesting stained glass motif. Of course, not every banner that they have is sort of in this motif, but this seems to be the sort of style that they have when they make these sort of official capes or banners, excuse me. So with these 3 symbols on it, there's also a symbol underneath of a iron fist and an iron palm, sort of like placed next to each other. And this seems to be maybe the symbol of the sort of leader of the Alliance currently, which you're not familiar with who that is.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's sort of the symbol of the Alliance. You understand some of the pieces of the symbology. You definitely understand the fire. That is Mogren. You're not sure where the griffin comes into play, except that you know that the Alliance is known for its use of griffins.
That was a terrible sketch. That's fine.
It's okay. It's pretty
Really
small.
small.
It's really small.
It's small.
So yeah. So inside, of course, you see the sort of the clerk there, who places he nails up Calthenna's request after you hand it to him. So what do you want to do now?
Have we delivered the information back to the Adventurers Guild about the orcs?
You probably would have done that with Danica and Maravir.
Okay.
You just would have let people know what would you have?
Just to put
nice.
out word to the adventurers, and maybe just put like something on the quest board. Like it's not a quest to be accepted; it's just information.
Oh, okay.
Just saying like there are orcs, not half orcs. Like clarifying that
Well, 2 of them were half orcs.
2 of them, but
Yeah.
Just put up there that there are orcs in Palaven who have agreed to leave adventurers alone if adventurers do the same. So,
Interesting.
just put up sort of a standing notice that, they're not to be harassed. And if you do so, you do so at your own risk. So.
Gotcha. You've actually noticed that there was a group who actually seemed like they were getting ready to go out to Palaven. They were geared up. They headed out the door. There's a group of about 5 of them. And you also notice that the Boulay quest is no longer on the board.
Nice. I'll let them get a nice head start. Or we'll pick off whatever's left if we find them.
You also notice a singular man inside. He's probably the last adventurer that you see. He's sort of sitting at a corner table. He's got sort of like thick, shaggy, black hair, like really long black beard. There are elements of a little bit of like white hairs here and there, but it seems like he's actually rather young, from what you can see. every time he sort of like peeks out from his like bushy haircut, he just looks really unkempt. He is wearing though like some scale mail, and he does have this like golden rod that he keeps as like a staff at his side.
Does it look like a wizard staff arcane focus kind of rod?
You're not sure because he also has an amulet of a raven.
Interesting.
So it seems like he has a holy symbol to the Raven Queen.
Well then, he's the only other person in here. I'd probably
He's one of the only other adventurers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a drink or, depending on what time of day it is, maybe some food.
Okay.
And just sit at a table and see who comes looking for quests, if anyone, for a little while.
Okay. You see him. He's actually sort of digging into some food. He seems a little eccentric, just muttering some things to himself. But eventually, he sort of looks up to actually scan the room for like the first time. He blinks a couple times. Then he, with some effort, steps off his stool, and then heads up to the sort of clerk's counter and looks at the board. And then after a time, he finally speaks up to the clerk, and the clerk does pull it down and gets his information on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then actually points at you. Well, maybe would the clerk? Yeah, the clerk would.
I mean, I would still be there. I dropped it off.
Yeah, right.
So...
Exactly. Yeah. So he directs. The clerk directs the man towards you. The man walks over. He's got this sort of limp in his step a little bit. And finally he makes his way over to you and just sort of peeks out at you from underneath his long shaggy hair. You can see he's got these like silver gray eyes on him.
Mm-hmm.
His skin is it's definitely sort of worn from time. It's more like worn from stress. He doesn't actually seem that old. He seems like maybe, late 20s, early 30s. Pretty young guy. But yeah, but his eyes definitely communicate that he has there's a lot of wisdom there. So yes, this is what you see. He just sort of sits, he sees your food, and he just reaches over he picks at it. Yeah. Starts picking at it and hungrily eating.
Something to drink?
Yes. Ale, please.
Wave at the bartender and send Miles to go get us.
Ding, 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 ding. He's like climbing up. Sindri, the familiar on your shoulder, sort of gives the man a little hiss. Of course, the pseudo-dragon's in your pack, or is he?
He's probably I just keep him in there.
Gotcha.
He's holding my loot.
He's holding your loot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still in your pack. But yeah. Miles goes over to the barkeep. Devlin.
Yeah.
Devlin.
Yeah, Devlin.
And then, like, Devlin just sort of like doesn't know what to do, and just like sets the ale on his back, and Miles just like ding, 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 just climbs down with it, but manages to like step on a stool and then off the stool and onto the ground just very level. Carefully to keep it sort of level. It sloshes around and spills on him. He's like and then like comes up to you, ding, 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 and like just he's sitting on the ground, he's looking up at you with like his big little orby eyes. He's like
Pick it up. Slide it across the table.
The man takes it.
Prestidigitation the beer off the top of my spider.
He sort of like takes it in a fist, just grasps the edge of the cup and just starts pugging it. You can watch as like all the liquid just drips down his beard and into it, and just sort of like it all soaks it up because it's just so big. And he's like, poof, places it out in front of you. Oh man, that was good. I haven't had ale like that in quite a while. Oh.
When was the last time you've eaten?
I mean, I've eaten.
When was the last time you've eaten real food?
Real food? Well, let's see.
If you have to think that hard about it, it's been a very long time.
About 3 months. 3 moons, I think. The equivalent of 3 months.
What had you away from civilization and a decent meal for 3 whole months? How much food does he have on his plate?
On your plate?
On my plate. It's his plate.
I mean, there's like probably half of it remaining. He's just sort of like picking at it. It's not like he's gorging himself on it outright. There's the ale that he downed in one go. But the food he's definitely picking at.
Cautiously.
Right.
I'll just sort of reach across and
like he's sort of used to
pull
rationing
back
it.
one of the like nicer pieces of whatever's on there and eat it slowly.
Been out traveling?
Just out traveling.
Yes.
Seem like he's leaving anything out.
Roll me an insight check. Let's roll.
I haven't rolled for anything yet.
Oh.
That's a 4.
That's a 4. Yeah, no, he seems legit. I mean, clearly he's leaving things out, but you don't know.
I can't get a feel for.
Right.
So you think you want to head into Palaven?
Yes.
Have you been in there before?
Once.
It's good enough for me. That's all I've got. So, how long were you in there the first time?
He grins a little bit. A little while.
Somewhere around 3 months?
No, of course not.
You know, most people aren't willing to spend more than a day or 2 in there.
Well, you know, it's,
Just, you like the atmosphere, the threat of death, the... What is it?
had, nice architecture.
It's true. You think you, myself, and a wizard of a more academic nature could be in there for a little while?
I don't see why not.
Are you an adventurer?
Of sorts, yeah.
No, I mean the real ones.
With the Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Reventia.
Sort
I
of.
worship my mistress here. He pulls up the chain and you see the raven symbol. As I follow where she leads me.
Is she the one leading you into Palaven?
Sometimes. Tucks it into his shirt and goes back to like slowly picking at the food. He very sparsely makes eye contact, but every time he does, you get a gleam of something else. Mischief, wisdom, lies, honesty, all around. Yeah. Are you taking me or not?
Well, you've taken the quest, so
I've signed my name. It doesn't mean you have to bring me.
I'll leave it up to Calthenna.
Fair enough.
You want to bring that with you?
Food? Are we going now?
Well, we'll go to Calthenna. Unless you'd like to finish that first. I can make myself comfortable.
Sort of like...
Just like pull out a notebook or something. And...
I mean, by this point, he's almost done. But he does. He actually puts down like sort of the meat in his mouth as he was pulling bits of it off, and he puts it down. He actually like sort of like rubs his fingers off in his beard, and then pulls like some of his beard hairs up to like dab off his mouth, and then just like sets it down, like lets it all just fall back down. Yeah, that's we can go.
Can I just prestidigitation the ale and grease out
I
of his
mean, he
beard?
couldn't stop you, but sure.
Let's go.
Let's be on our way.
Do you have a name?
You can call me Hugin.
Well, I'm Tiriel.
Nice to meet you, Tiriel.
This is Sindri, the cat.
Sindri? Sindri's sort of like, just like a little bit. You can hear it in the back of his throat.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to have like an uneasy, just meows a little uneasily.
Mm-hmm.
Miles, however, doesn't really distinguish, but
Mm-hmm. And this is Miles.
oh, he's cute.
I'm quite fond of him.
Where'd you get that?
I stole him from a bugbear.
That's an interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll have to tell it to me one time.
I'll tell it to you now, no way.
He stands up. You stand up. You guys exit the tavern. You tell him the sort of mildly unbelievable tale of how you charmed a bugbear and stole the thing that he was using to try to trap other people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you guys both make your way over to Calthenna's tower. No problem.
Open it up, it's a temple now.
Oh, to the Raven Queen. All right.
She knows you're here. Cool. Well, no.
Tink, 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 tink. It's actually Calthenna who answers again. This time opened, she's like, oh, Tiriel. Oh, I see you brought someone with you. She looks past you like, hello, my name is Calthenna. I am the wizard of this tower. I'm assuming you're here for the quest. He goes, yeah, I'll join your quest. She's like, okay. And she gives you like a look. And then you guys just both, with him, enter into her tower once again. You guys walk into essentially the open foyer, where she sort of stops and pivots, like turns on her heel. And she says, okay, well, I guess if we have another person, we just need to make arrangements. And then we can be off. When would you like to set out, Tiriel?
I think at this point we don't necessarily need to leave tonight. Because it would likely be a little bit of time before we... Oh. Did this go down? I'm seeing the like 0 timer on it.
Oh shit, yeah.
I can't move my phone or we'll lose the video, so... Yeah.
I can just start it up again.
Yeah. Well...
But so I don't... Because I just looked at it and we were definitely still live.
Yeah. May have just blipped out and back on.
Okay. Well, actually, let's finish this.
Yeah.
Where are we at, Tiriel?
Plans.
Something about leaving in the morning.
First of all, I'd like the two of us to ask Hugin here some more questions. Get a feel for what he's actually capable of.
Me? I
Yes.
am a healer. A priest. I'm a priest. For the Raven Queen.
And you are just a healer, or do you do other things too?
I can do some other things. Not too many things.
I think a healer would be very useful.
I can heal. I can keep people alive. It's what I can do. Is that good enough for you two? Calthenna shrugs and says, sure, yes, of course. I'm not so worried about my safety as much as yours.
I'm very concerned about my own well-being at all times, so...
I prefer to be safe and healed, so I think your skill sets will come in handy. Mr. He says, Hugin. Hugin is my name.
Well,
Hugin.
I would say leave in the morning. Gather up whatever you need. Hugin, if there's anything you need, I can help you.
I do not need much. I will just get some rations and things like that. Assemble a pack.
You have the funds.
I have some coin.
Okay.
Things to trade.
Well, Calthenna, is there somewhere we should meet in the morning?
We could just meet at the tavern, maybe for some breakfast, or yeah, let's meet at the Crying Creed. Let's meet there and we can set off. That should be fine.
Sounds good. Then I will go get what I need for myself, decide what to have prepared for the morning, and unless there's anything else that anyone else needs, call it a plan.
You and Hugin end up leaving Calthenna's tower, and you guys both go your separate ways to make preparations for your next adventure into Palaven. Mm-hmm. And we will just go ahead and we'll take a quick 10-minute break.
I gotta pee. I know, we just like blipped out. We're 4 minutes in and we're gonna stop again.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, I'm gonna, back over here. Pause it. We'll be back.
Welcome back, you sultry, lovely mother sons of people.
Flawless. Alright, turn the music back on.
Oh, right, music.
You're in charge of that now.
Gotta pump up the jams. Alright, what do you want? You want some bar music? Huh? You want drinking at the tavern music?
I'll be going back there before we start in the morning.
Seago. Seago.
I know exactly what's happening.
Seago. Alright. So, you make whatever preparations you're gonna make. Mm-hmm. Rations and things like that, of course, you can easily get. So if you want to purchase those for the price of the stuff, of the amount in the Adventurer's Guide. I believe they're 5 silver,
5 silver
pieces. Yeah.
I've been buying them for the campaign.
Okay.
I'll do that.
So buy some rations. You don't know.
It's 10 silver to a gold, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2 days worth of rations
2
would
days
be
for a gold.
a single gold.
Okay.
Okay.
They're like, you can't. Yeah, that's a lot of.
What?
Because they're heavy. Are you gonna worry about that?
Worry about what?
They're like 2 pounds per day's ration.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about
that. Okay.
We're gonna pretend that someone has made little snack bars that still pack in that same amount of protein you need.
D&D Cliff Bars.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, then that makes this a little easier.
Oh no. Oh no. Let me know once your preparations are done, or if there's anything else you'd like to look for in lieu of finding preparations.
Yes. I would like. Oh gosh, right to the equipment section. God, I'm so proud of myself. Is anyone selling silk rope?
Yeah, certainly.
Cool.
You can find some silk rope.
Buying 2 lengths of silk rope.
Of course you are.
I'm just gonna essentially trade in my hemp rope.
Now you have noticed some vendors. There is Emmeline's Good and Sundry.
Oh, that's right. There are actual established shops here too.
Yeah.
I keep reading about that.
Her shop is, she's got the sort of dark timber building with a blue shingled roof. Her shop is actually right next to Calthenna's Tower.
Okay.
You got Dolgriff's Arms and Armory, Garland's Bespoke Boutique, He's a tailor. And then there's Westrel's Wands and Staves. His location. He's located in the.
I'm not
Trying to rack my brain for
Wow.
the words.
Wow.
In the market area.
Cool. Nailed it.
Not in the Adventurers Row.
Whew. All right.
God.
Take a deep breath.
That was stressful. Okay.
Yeah. I assume like rations and stuff would come from the sort of general goods store.
You actually, Emmeline would probably have them. Yes.
Okay.
Emmeline.
Well,
She's
yeah.
a very cute half-elven woman with like freckles on her face. She has just like very just deep brown eyes, light dusty sort of brown hair. She's got like bangs cut and they're sort of pulled back into a ponytail that goes down her back. She's wearing just like some light colored like just a regular shirt. Sort of it's got some of these crisscross pieces here. Where she sort of keeps it tied, and she has like a little light green cloak, but it's only like a half cloak. It just goes down to like the half her back. That's what you see as you enter this sort of big open area with a lot of different like kind of goods all over the place. A lot of the general goods that you could get in sort of in the player's handbook, you find in this location, along with things, various goods and things that people have made that she sort of gets brought here.
Well, yeah. I will go up to her. She's like, I need rope. I need rations. And I need... What have I got? Just double check what I already picked up. Yes.
Yes.
I
see it now in my mind's eye.
I don't have a crowbar.
Oh, okay. You can definitely get a crowbar here.
I'm going to get a crowbar, and I am going to get
She also has a potion of greater healing, sort of stocked behind her on a counter or on a shelf. 2 potions of normal healing. She also has in the case below her. She has 2 spell scrolls. One labeled as a spell scroll of Fog Cloud, and another as a spell scroll of Illusory Script.
Oh, interesting.
So if you'd like either one of those, you can have those as well.
I don't know if I want either of those at the moment.
Sorry,
much
we're
is
taking
the
up your
greater-
time to do a lot of shopping.
Sorry.
I know D&D shopping is one of the most enthralling things ever.
It's
We
important.
spend all that imaginary money.
It's really important. I don't get to spend money on like things so I can buy cool shit.
I'm broke in real life.
That's
why I love spending money in D&D.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get why I get why some players might like hoard it and like want to just get more of it, but I just spend that shit so
1,000 gold
fast.
for a spyglass?
Yeah.
Done. I've never spent $1,000
I don't
on
care.
anything.
Yeah. I'm gonna buy a pony. It's gonna be worth 300 gold. I don't care.
It's gonna die.
Yeah, it's gonna die in like 2 hits by anything. I'll buy it.
Crowbar. How much is a potion of greater healing?
Potion of greater healing, I believe, is 150.
150.
150 gold, girl.
I'm gonna buy that.
Let me find it for you. Nope. Yeah, potion of greater healing is 150. Potion of regular healing is 50.
Okay, then I'll do one regular and the greater one.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm still in like buying gear for fucking Port Horizon mode. And I'm like, I don't think I need as much, like, adventuring gear.
No.
I'm gonna just put this down. I'm like, I could buy a block and tackle. I could do it.
I could do it. Watch me.
Okay. 3, that are gonna be a 378. Okay. Cool. I think that's all I need there. You said there was Taylor. There's a
Dolgriff's Arms and Armory.
Arms and Armory. I have all the weapons I need, really.
Hey, you don't wear armor.
And I don't wear armor, so...
There's Westrel Wands and Staves.
Can I, like, peek in there, like, window shop a little bit and see what he's got in there?
Yeah, you look through the doorway. I mean, he's... you spot, like, a squat, gnome-looking man. Very finely dressed, but his hair is a sort of, like, swirling tuft of, like, blues and greens. He does appear to be a little older for a gnome. Probably, like, mid-200s or something. But he does have, like, bright eyes, like a long, pointed nose. But yeah, you do see a few things. You see wands, you see staves. From what you can tell, just from a glance, not all of them appear to be magical. Some of them are just sort of staves for wizards to use as sort of spellcasting focuses. Mm-hmm. That's probably the biggest part of what he does. Some of them, however, you see some like finely crafted like wands on the walls, magical ornate-looking staves. Some of them you imagine are very, very pricey, but nonetheless, he does have some stuff like that.
Interesting.
Not as much though, because those probably don't move as often.
Yeah. I think I will hold off on visiting there this time around.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I will head back to the Crying Creed.
All right. You do end up finding your friend Hugin in there. You see him. He's actually he's writing, in a little book, a little journal. What he's got. Mm-hmm. He's busy writing at a table. Before he notices you, and these sort of.
I probably would have just swung by the bar, gotten 2 tankards of like middle shelf ale, not top shelf stuff, but not well.
We haven't even been doing money for this, so go ahead and take off 2 silver.
Okay, that's
Actually, 4 silver.
Cool, that's fine. I have a stash of.
These are expensive drinks.
457.
Definitely price gouges.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fair.
All right. So yes, he ends up putting away his book. He ends up putting. Okay, there we go. Sorry, just I keep pulling different notes, to look at a lot of different things. It's nice having an iPad here. I've definitely learned that keeping notes on an iPad is really good, and well, to keep whatever notes I do put up. So.
Just more compact.
More compact, yeah. And of course, a handy dandy little notebook for straight old fashioned writing down notes with your pencil. So yes, you notice that he heavily closes the leather bound journal and sort of tucks it away into his pack that you now notice that he's just acquired. It's very fresh, it's very new, but other than that, he is still the same.
Cool.
Yeah.
You don't require armor of any kind?
I have armor, and you notice he's got scale mail on.
Oh, that's true. You already told me that. I was like, for some reason, I'm picturing like priest robes.
No, it's like this, nice set of just sort of scaled over armor with like, a belt on the side, and then that he probably tucks away that big old golden rod in. And then they just have like some small little leather pauldrons on him, some like leather bracers and stuff. He's not super armored, but armored enough. Yeah.
Just slide him his drink.
Thank you. Takes it.
Seems like you enjoyed the last one.
Doesn't respond as he's just drinking it all. It still dribbles down his beard. It's like he can't help it, just sort of like it all gets in the way but it soaks it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his clothes, he's fine. His scale mail, yeah, it's not, yeah. He eventually puts down the empty tankard, burps a little bit, and then just returns looking back at you with this sort of like almost weary silver gray toned eyes.
How much was Calthenna paying people for this?
We didn't establish that. I'm gonna say she was paying people a number. She was hoping to pay people around like 150 gold for the expedition itself, and then anything that those people find they can keep for themselves.
Gotcha.
So that's sort of like the
really
base.
Just...
Yeah, because you guys aren't going out there to do any quests or anything. Mm-hmm. You're just going out there to be her protection. And in this case, your protection. Mm-hmm.
So are you headed into Palavin just for the pay? Do you have any other reasons for being in there?
Yes, I could use some gold.
That's it?
That's it. Every man needs gold.
But you could earn gold any number of ways.
Like
Why
what?
venture into a ruin as dangerous as this one?
Is it dangerous?
Moderately.
I'm not worried. My mistress protects me.
It's a nice confidence to have. Have you seen the Ruby Gates?
The Ruby Gates. Maybe.
You would know if you'd seen them. Very large, literally made of ruby.
Maybe not.
Have you... I'm curious what you have seen in there, and what you might be prepared for. As we expect to see anything from shadow hounds that go invisible to what looks like elven guardians of the city itself.
If you're worried about me, don't be. I have my ways, my protections. Why are you going into the city?
To figure it out. And to get to the middle of it.
Why are you trying to seek the center?
Because that's where the center of elven cities like this are typically powerful places.
How do you know?
Because I lived in one.
Which one?
The only one? As far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pyravin's kind of like the elven city.
Yeah, it's one of the last ones. There's a couple in the Merwood, but Pyravin is the big one.
Yeah. So I was like, the only one that matters. Get another ale.
Yes, please.
She'll just be slowly nursing the same one.
The wench that aids
Mm-hmm.
Devlin, she comes back and places another drink in front of him, and he just like cups it with both hands, and he's like, "Thank you." Just pounds it back. Tunk.
That does not seem healthy.
It is good. I like it. I can hold my own.
You're strange.
I've been told.
Why? You said you were from Raventia.
Yes.
Why did you leave?
Oh, you know. To explore, wander, learn things. And, of course, my mistress told me so, so I went.
You always do what she tells you.
Yes, always.
Why?
She is my mistress. Don't you have something that you follow always?
A other than my own interests.
Your mistress.
Interests.
Your mistress.
Oh, well, if you insist on it that way, but it's an awful lot of trust to put in, I don't know, a being like that.
Well, we all have our mistresses, and they all lead us, and we always follow.
What's that do? I point at the gold. Does it actually appear to be gold, or is it just like gold colored?
His rod?
Yeah.
No, it actually appears to be made of like solid gold. Yeah. You haven't had the chance to like study it too closely, but he actually sort of like shifts his back away from you. Says, "It is my staff."
It must be very heavy.
It is fine. Hukin is a strong man.
Hugan normally refer to himself in the third person.
Well, when my mistress asks, yes.
I'm just... because he's been in there all day, and I'm curious what he makes of this guy. I want to pull the pseudo-dragon out of the pack.
Bunk!
Yeah.
Just with the ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception test. No?
I always roll poorly
Okay.
in this. Perception? That
Yeah.
is an 11.
Okay, an
Yeah.
11. So you notice that in Hugin's eye expression, he definitely looks at the
Throwing
ruby.
the dragon some snacks.
He looks at the ruby and sort of takes interest in it. Probably because it's a fucking chunk of gem, a big one and a nice polished one. And of course, the pseudo dragon catches his interest. He sort of smiles in amusement from what little you can see of his lips and expression. A lot of it you tell in the way that his beard sort of moves. Yeah, shifts around his face. Yeah, so I mean, the pseudo dragon to him is just like looking at him, just like sort of like slowly steps back. The pseudo dragon is almost always now on his like hind legs.
It's
and
just always holding this
slowly stepping back with what little range of movement it has in its hips, just clutching this thing eternally to its chest, and like when it gets like out of comfortable range from him, it sort of like scampers back a little bit over to your side, and it scampers back by actually like dropping the ruby and like nudging it with its head over to your side of the table, and then sort of curls up around it. And like curls up around it and like rubs its head on it. So
How big is the ruby in comparison to the pseudo dragon?
I mean, it's a hefty fucking ruby. Like we established that it was like that.
Okay.
It's like pretty big.
And like the pseudo dragon's head in comparison to that. Like I'm trying to
Smaller than the ruby.
Okay.
I mean, proportionally, like probably like as thick or something. But the thing itself, the ruby is bigger than its head.
Gotcha.
It's not. It's way smaller.
Yeah.
But it still has to like clutch this thing all the time in its hands. Like its claws can comfortably sort of fit around it, but it still keeps it close and just hugs it all the time.
Nice. Sort of like turn the pseudo dragon. Who's kind of looking at it.
Now he's like looking at you.
Trying to figure out a way to let him keep carrying the ruby, but maybe still have use of his front legs. Could I maybe fashion a tiny backpack for him?
Are you asking the DM or are you asking Hugo?
I'm asking both, kind of. I'm just trying to make conversation and...
He couldn't use his wings.
That's true. But what if you sort of tied it to the front of him?
Get a string.
You think you could get a string around the ruby?
You could try.
I think I'll let him just hold it.
Seems
Keeps him
content.
occupied.
Is that all he does?
For the most part, yes. That's he was supposed to be turned into someone who wanted it as a familiar, but I found it very difficult to part him from the ruby, and I'm rather attached to the ruby, so...
Your terrible mistress.
Yes, well, I've acquired quite the menagerie.
And the ruby is his mistress.
That's fair.
Does he have a name?
No, I have not really had the chance nor the inclination to give him one yet, because I don't intend to keep him forever. But I'm open to suggestions.
I have none.
Well, if the sudden bolt of inspiration strikes you, just let me know. Is that a cat? It's probably Thor this time.
I think Ragnar is still stuck in Rachel's room.
She seems content. She's probably asleep.
Sure, yeah. Nope.
Anyway. Well, just sweep him back into my bag.
He just falls in. I mean, every once in a while, you've certainly been feeding the pseudo dragon, putting like scraps of like meat and just like feeding it to him by hand. But yeah.
Cool. Well, unless you have any other questions.
I do.
Concerns.
No.
Questions
Mm-hmm.
that need answering.
You could.
We have a long time. I don't actually really need to sleep, so...
What is it that you're searching for in Palafin?
I didn't come to Palavin with a purpose. I came to Palavin and Vale kind of on accident.
There are no accidents.
Yes. Perhaps not, but it seemed like one nonetheless. So, I'm simply here to uncover as many of its secrets as I can.
I'm asking the wrong question. What is your mistress?
Well, I think you're asking a question that I don't fully know how to answer.
You too. Because everyone has one. She's inside. She tells you. She directs you. And you follow. Where is it that she's leading you? To the heart, but for what? You know.
For power, Hugin.
Power? What kind of power?
I don't know.
To do what?
Again, I don't know. Powers... for me has been sort of offered suddenly. It's never something I have gone... Never before was it something I went searching for. But it came to me. With time and with dedication and study. And I found I enjoyed that learning and that knowledge. And I liked the power. So, Palavin seemed interesting.
You think Palafin has more power for you?
I think Palavin has quite a lot of power for itself. And I want to know what powers it. Whether that power is for me, or simply for me to try to understand. Either one.
You see this sort of twinkle in his silver gray eyes as he sort of turns his head, but almost like he's like looking at someone next to him. And he's turning his head and he's... Go ahead and give me a perception test. Let's see if you can hear what he's mumbling under his lips.
Under his lips.
On his lips, mumbling.
Nope.
What'd you get? 2. That's a 2? Gosh dang, girl, throw those dice in dice jail.
It doesn't matter. Every single one I rolls shit.
He mumbles some things and you hear him say the word mistress again. But that's really it. And he sort of he does that for a moment where it's like he's having this side conversation. And he turns back and he says, "We will see how you handle power.
So far.
It is your mistress. And, of course, your mistress's mistress."
You can't just speak plainly, can you?
No, of course not. It's not how my mistress told me to speak.
Tiriel just finishes off all of the ale that she'd been nursing.
Tiriel, before I leave you, have you ever heard of the name, the widowed mother?
I don't think so.
Well, meditate on that tonight as you sleep. And then he stands up from the table. He actually takes a moment to pull the rod out and like start walking with it towards the stairs.
Does he walk with it like he needs the aid, or like he just...
Well, you notice that he certainly did have that
Okay.
limp. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like, well, actually, give me an insight check. What is going on? Yeah, no, I mean,
Doesn't matter.
he's
I have
using.
no idea. I'm completely clueless. I can't hear shit. I can't see anything.
All right. Hold up, guys. This is gonna be loud. Oh, maybe not. Pick new dice. We are very dice superstitious. 100%, absolutely. You should be. Your dice will fuck you sometimes.
Just have more than one set of dice. It's just fun.
Your
Just
dice,
give it-
all
just
the dice
fucking-
love to be touched, and
Yeah.
sometimes you touch them too much, and they're like, go touch some other dice.
Wow, these are horribly mixed up in here.
Like
They're all
these
over the
are my
place.
dice for today. Haley made this super crazy pink one for me, and I actually have a bunch of these other pink ones. Just,
Let's see these two.
yeah, should always have lots and lots of dice.
Let's see. I'll take the Joe dice.
Yes, the Joe dice.
Yeah, that one sounds shit.
Joe dice.
Joe.
That's Joe dice, yo.
Alright. Green. We'll go with green.
Yes.
Just leave these out, because I'll keep these out for damage dice, too, in case I need them. I don't know if I'll even need them.
Are you happy with your dice selection now?
Yeah. We'll give it a shot.
Alrighty. So, yes, you notice that he's using that staff to prop himself up. However, because the staff is a solid, like, rod of gold, you get the sense that he could be using something a little bit more practical. But he's still using it to support himself, certainly.
Okay.
He makes his way, ambles up the stairs, and you hear the heavy thunk, 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 thunk. Just each planting of the staff into the wood as he makes his way up the stairs. It gets quieter and quieter until you then hear his footsteps, his heavy footsteps, and the thunk above you now. And then finally, a door.
I'm gonna go up to Devlin. The barkeep.
Yeah? Well, you need some more ale. That guy needs some more ale.
No, I really don't think he does.
I mean, he's been buying a lot of ale.
See, have you been in here before?
No. Yesterday was the first time I seen him.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Is there anyone still on the, like, Adventurers Guild side?
I mean, it's getting later now, so no, not really. There's, like, the clerk and, you know.
Oh, that works. I'll
Yeah.
go to whoever the clerk at the counter is.
Sure, yeah.
Have you seen Hugin?
So the clerk is, like, a red-haired man, like, curly red hair that sort of, like, sort of comes off the side, flips up a little bit around his ears. He has glasses on. He's very well-kempt, well-shaven. Sort of looks up at you. He's a human, but he looks up and he says, who are you speaking of, ma'am?
The priest. The Raven Queen.
Oh, the shaggy man.
Shaggy man.
He's very unkempt. And you can like see
Yes.
there's a little bit of revulsion. He's like mentally cringing in his mind about how unkempt his beard
I
is.
can see why that would distress you.
Oh.
Have you ever seen him? Or is there any record of him taking quests from here before?
No.
Nothing.
Negative.
Do you know if he's an adventurer? Like, a legitimate one?
No. As far as I know, he's not with the guild. He hails from Revencho, so he says.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know. And he's a priest, apparently.
What? Are there many other ways to get into Palaven other than the gate that your lot watches?
Not without great difficulty, I think.
Interesting.
There's certainly ways you could make your way into the city, but much of it is sort of broken off and dilapidated and full of dangers.
Mm-hmm.
Some butt up against, various forests and stuff, and so you could probably make your way there from other locations, but none of them are as easy as the gate that we have and the passage we have into a known part.
Mm-hmm.
So
Doable, but difficult
and unwise.
Perhaps unlikely.
Yes.
And certainly unwise. Interesting. What's your name?
My name is Charlie. Charlie.
Love it. Thank you, Charlie. Good night. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Enjoy your night, ma'am. Enjoy your stay.
Oh.
DM tip number 2. Actually, no, this is not a DM tip. This is a player tip number 5. We're on 5, I think. Always ask your DM the names of random NPCs that he has clearly made up on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Just because it's fun to watch your eyes get wide. Alright.
And then DM tip, however many. Probably just keep a list of random names always and just cross off the ones you use.
Yeah. It's actually worked super well in another campaign. Okay.
And then rinse and repeat and reuse. Ow. Why did I throw that pencil out of my hands?
Now it's time. Okay. Then I will find myself a place for the evening.
Okay.
And get ready in the morning.
All right. So you end up.
I take a little bit of time to swap out a spell or two, but that's not as important.
You end up falling into a trance.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do your trance?
I would, as much as the pseudo dragon will let me, either it can just sleep in my lap, but Tiriel would spend some time just sort of staring at that ruby and probably falling into it from there. But wherever her rooms are that she bothers to rent, she'd try to get one that either has a window or that she could climb out the window and sit outside. And
Interesting.
yeah.
So your room doesn't have that sort of access under the roof. You could certainly prop the window open, and you could probably sit in the windowsill itself. It seems like it's big enough for that, if you'd like.
That's fine.
In fact, you did that the first night you slept here.
That's what I did, yeah.
Yeah, so you do the same thing. You keep the pseudo dragon in your lap. He sort of, he actually falls asleep and sort of snores loudly with the ruby clutched to his chest. And it's actually tilted. It's spun in a way to where actually you see the lion symbol on the back. Yeah, and so it's interesting because lions, you begin to fall into a trance focusing on this symbol. But eventually, your mind actually wavers for a moment. You slip into a state between realms. You are both tranced and present, or sort of stuck in the present moment, unwinding in one long sort of continuous wave. But also your subconscious mind has been taken by the power of dream and symbol and the language of such things. And you're focusing on this lion, and you're brought to a place that you're loosely connecting in your mind to be the part of the Merwood that once was. Farther out east, where lions were once a more common occurrence in the Merwood, before they stopped being so. And that they were always seen as a noble kindred spirit to the elves. And that's very much where some of the first blade singers originated, is through studying the languid movements of the lions and how they could strike with such agile and incredible ferocity all at once, and just how noble they were, how esteemed they seemed to be in their own domains, in their own habitats. That sort of kindred connection the elves had formed, and you're seeing this sort of playing out in scenes inside your mind. You're seeing the first elves walking among lions and studying them, sort of crouching low in the grass as the lions are getting ready for the hunt. And the elves, too, are stalking right beside them. You see elves, an elf, a blade at his side, two blades at his side, and he is stalking his own prey with a lion companion at his side. You are seeing all of this, and then you're seeing the ruby and the symbol of it in your mind, and you're seeing it bereft of a piece that it needs, and you're seeing that it can be wielded with the same noble majesty of the lion, the same prowess that they have. And you see that it can create and it can destroy. You're seeing all this, and then you're seeing the rain destruction of the Merwood. You're seeing the shadows moving in through the trees. You're seeing the hungry, dark beasts now prowling through Palavin. And your mind is now winding through its streets until finally you feel like you're at the epicenter. But the being that you're seeing, the thing there, is of shadow, complete and utter darkness. Maybe a piece of something left over a long time ago. But this thing has no mind, it has no sentience, it has no care, but it's bound by something. You're not sure. And then it begins to unwind, but you're unwinding on a tether. And slowly, your mind, as small as a pin, unwinding on a tether, being pulled back from the center of Palavin, going all the way back to the streets and out the gate and up into the Adventurer's Row, in through the bottom of the tavern, up the stairs, and back into your own vision. As now you're looking at the ruby once again, still in a trance. And at this point, it is dawn.
Oh gosh, I don't know what to say.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
How you gonna start your morning?
I want to. Is the pseudo dragon still asleep?
Yeah, purring. It's clutched around the ruby.
I want to as quickly as I can, try to grab the pseudo-dragon and hold the ruby away so I can get a good look at it without the pseudo-dragon attached to it.
So you want to just yank it away?
I want to try to, like, pull it out of its grasp, like, gently, but not, like, forced, like, not quickly but gently, you know, like while it's sleeping.
Make me a sleight of hand check.
Okay.
With advantage, because it's sleeping?
I'm not counting that one. Oh, well, that's still a single digit. I haven't rolled anything other than a single digit this entire time. That comes out to a 14.
That's good enough. That's good enough. That's good enough. Yeah, you. Here, do you want to try and select more dice?
I have the
whole you have the whole dice bag.
I'm just gonna one at a time. I'm gonna work through every single d20 we have.
All right, and while you're doing that, you do manage to swiftly take away the ruby. The pseudo dragon definitely stirs awake and it blinks a few times before it sees the ruby caught in your grasp. It's like,
We'll give it right back. Just need it for a moment. I crawl back I don't want to take a good look because it has like a setting, you said. Or is it just like a card?
No, it has a setting. It's so it's like this sort of you know what? I might just draw it for you.
Yeah, because I have...
So it's like something like that. And then the ruby is boom.
Gotcha.
And
so it has like a base.
Symbol,
It's...
Yeah, the lion symbol's like on the bottom. I don't know how to fucking draw a line.
That's okay. I've... Cool.
You're shaggy. An eye. It looks like a monkey. Anyways, that's sort of it. But so the lion symbol's really just on the bottom.
Gotcha. So it has like a base that this ruby is set into.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry if you did not understand that until now.
I did understand that it had a setting. I just hadn't visualized exactly. I was picturing something that wrapped around it. But because I want to look at it and see, having seen sort of this vision of it being attached to something else, does it look like there's any sort of fitting, fastening, grooves, markings on it, given that I do have proficiency with Tinker's tools? I want to see if I can identify if it attached to, specifically attached to something else, or if it's more nuanced than that. So you're looking at the lion side, but then you begin to turn it over, and you actually notice that sort of on the opposite side of where the lion setting's at, on the ruby itself, looks like at one point it might have been attached to something. Interesting. So on the back side of what you've drawn. Yeah, here, some little remnants in that would go around the whole bottom base, the other side. Gotcha. If you're looking at the ruby vertically. Okay. That's the thing. It's got the... And then the base is underneath that. So does it look like something went in to the gem, or there's just markings on it, it... Like something at one point fastened that side of the gem. Interesting. And it doesn't look like there was any sort of mechanical component to it. Okay. So there's probably just sort of a ridge or a... Give me an Arcana check, actually. That not bad? Is a 19. Nice! The dice are no longer... 13. Nice. That isn't more than enough for you to tell that this gem itself was probably fused to the object that it was on. Gotcha. Magically. Okay. That some sort of arcane process was done to adhere it to another piece. And that both pieces probably were some sort of magic. Okay. Interesting. I will, with a serious stink eye, give it back to the pseudo dragon.
And he just like desperately grasps at it, takes it back from you, and gives you like a stink eye of epic proportions.
I pull out like a large peanut or whatever like thing might distract him to chew on, like break through and eat.
Yeah, some
rations.
Some rations.
Some pieces of jerky.
Mark off 1 day of rations.
I'm gonna go specifically buy some jerky for the pseudo dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just sort of give him something to chew on.
Yeah.
Other than his resentment.
You are noticing he's no longer chewing on resentment.
Okay. Then I will head downstairs.
Okay.
Get myself something to eat.
You head downstairs.
Nice breakfast.
You notice Calthenna and Hugin are busy.
How does everyone beat me here? I literally only meditate for 4 hours.
You actually notice you sort of over-meditated. You overtranced.
Neat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making a couple notes.
You see Hugin is already about 3 empty mugs of ale in. Calthenna sort of has this worried, like she exchanges like a worried expression with you, and then looks back and attends to Hugin again. But she does call out to you. She says, "Tiriel, would you like to join us for some breakfast?"
That was the plan.
I have things here if you'd like. We have some, and you notice assorted stuff, foods.
Just help myself to whatever's already on the table.
Yeah. There's
make a point of picking something off whatever plate's closest to Hugin.
Yeah.
Whatever he seems to be personally eating.
I mean, for a moment, his hand like launched out, and you thought to like stop you, but then it just digged into something else and just pulled it to his mouth and then downed it, washed it down with a little bit of ale. It dribbles again into his beer that's already soaked up a lot of food and ale. Oh, this is good. I really like this stuff. Compliments to the chef.
Be sure to pass that along to Devlin. Well? Calthenna, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Pull the pseudo dragon back out, wherever he is, and just sort of like turn the gem in his little claws.
Each time you do, he just like he just gets a little bit more angry, but he doesn't do anything to stop you. I mean, at some point he does actually like bite your finger, and he bites it pretty hard, enough to make it bleed, enough to do a point of damage. But otherwise, that's all he does. And when he notices that you don't really care, he sort of relents and just lets you sort of turn it in his grasp. His hand's just adjusting every time.
Really take a point of damage from the pseudo dragon.
Yeah, totally.
I only have 28 hit points.
Oh, they're at 27.
7, yeah.
Math.
I would have also done mage armor and everything else before I came downstairs, so I'm just gonna leave that marked off.
You sort of have like a permanent spell slot, just are always occupied by mage armor.
Unless I choose to do arcane recovery to get me back.
Yeah, but you can only do that once per long rest.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, do that. As soon as he lets go of my finger, I put some food in it from whatever plate's closest.
A lot of weird pseudo dragon noises tonight.
See, he's holding like the most important quest item this whole time. He has made interacting with this quest item such a chore.
I mean, what's a quest item without a little bit of interaction? It's gotta be fun.
Without turning the quest item into roleplay every single time. It requires interacting with an NPC. The most important NPC Casey plays. A clockwork spider and fucking dragon.
I mean, yeah. This is what D&D's for.
Yeah.
Act like goofy animals. Fantasy beings.
So yeah, I'm sort of pseudo dragon, like holding it and moving the thing so that she can see it.
Okay.
And be like, do you see this? The markings on it. This attached to something. Something that I think might have been some sort of weapon.
Yes. Yes, I think you're right. That is what it looks like. It was fused.
Magically.
Yes. I can't believe we didn't notice this before.
Me either.
Interesting. Good job. That is a good discovery. I think that'll help us locate the object that we're looking for.
Does it... It can't possibly help narrow down where to look, can it?
No.
Yeah, that's a long shot.
Yes. I mean, the Iron District itself is full of a lot of buildings, many of which were used at some point or another for some purpose, and maybe some building or another was dedicated to a more arcane purpose. And perhaps we can find some more information there. It's a long shot, and I'm not even sure if that's what we should be doing while we're there instead of going to the gate, but it's certainly an option. Perhaps one that we should explore.
We should look on our way.
Perhaps, yes.
And just as another thing to perhaps keep an eye out for, look for anything, markings, objects, items that might be related to blade singers.
What do you mean? Why?
Just a thought.
I mean, blade singers are an ancient order of elven warriors. Why would...
Ancient and modern, but...
Oh, are you... Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... I hope I didn't
that
offend.
had come up, but no, that's fair. I think... Call it a feeling. Just keep an eye out. Anything that might remind you of that, because if this might have been some sort of weapon, I don't know. But don't spend too much time looking for that specifically. But if anything jumps out at you, it's worth stopping and looking at.
Okay. Give me a perception test.
That is a 12.
Oh, okay, 12. Yeah. You
Well,
actually...
Okay, 7.
You look at... you sort of just glance at Hugin for a moment, and you can tell...
Oh, no. I was going to look at Hugin when I said call it a feeling. Like, that's...
He was definitely looking right back at you, and then he winked.
Sort of look at him, narrow my eyes at him.
He goes back to eating his food and just sort of looks away again.
Well, if you're done filling the priest with all of Devlin's liquor, I think we're about ready to go.
I don't know if he's done. She sort of like whispers this to you.
I think he could be done anytime.
And that's... I guess we are his employers for this mission.
Yeah. Hugin, we're leaving. Take whatever you want with you.
Can I order a bottle?
No. I will pay for it. It will be here if we survive.
2 bottles.
Fine.
Deal.
I go up to the bar. 1 bottle of, like, something cheap and 1 bottle of something nice.
Okay. We'll see what those are
Cool.
when we return.
I'll put a down payment on them.
Go ahead and reserve, mark off for the nice thing. We'll say 13 gold pieces.
Oh, damn.
Devlin
really nice.
pops out the most
Top
expensive bottle.
Shelf shit.
And then for the cheap thing, we'll say 11 silver.
Okay. This will be tracked on 2 separate lines.
And we'll find out what those
263.
things are.
You said 11 silver?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. If we survive and find what we're looking for, drinks are on me. Let's go.
So you all make your way out of the Crying Creek Tavern. You end up going back the same way, back towards Palavin, towards the gate. Eventually you arrive. Calthenna sort of goes through the sort of formalities, presents the paperwork, nods over to you two as being the ones as signed, because neither of you are official members of the alliance.
She is, right?
Yeah, she is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, she sort of she has like the same capacity as like an adventurer, even though she's not specifically an adventurer, like trained at the Adventurers Guild and sort of minted, by them. But her sort of, she is a part of, what is she a part of? Let me look at my notes. Looking at my notes, music. I already have music on. What am I doing? I forget what it's called. I know I've mentioned it before. But she's a part of like essentially their research arm. I forget what they're called. But I've named them even in our other campaign in the world setting.
Yeah.
I'll notes. I needed better notes.
Great notes. Just on the spot.
So she sort of has the same permissions and stuff, and she can certainly submit quests and even get people assigned to her, hire mercenaries and stuff like that. She has the same sort of almost all the same like access exactly. Yeah. So you guys do that, and eventually you make your way into Palavin. You guys find yourself in sort of in the location you remember last time, the Iron District. There is a lot of cloud cover in the day, even some nasty cloud coverage. You suspect there might be some hard rains later on today. It's not looking too promising for all of you. I mean, you notice Hugin sort of look up at the sky a couple times and sigh, but you all troop on. However, the state of Palavin itself, with all the sort of tree shade and stuff like that, and the buildings, looming buildings, it's pretty. It's not the most lit up. You notice that Hugin, despite the fact that he's a human, doesn't seem a human. Hugin is a human. He doesn't seem to produce any form of light to guide him. His almost silvery eyes seem to like reflect too, like in the darkness.
Hugin, you won't have a problem seeing.
Nope.
Good enough for me. Calthenna.
Yes?
You have a way to protect yourself magically. Mage armor.
Most likely.
Have you done that already?
Of course.
Just checking.
Think I'm a fool?
I came in here with someone who had not done that already, so just checking.
What an idiot.
That was my thought as well. I was very frustrated. In the moment when she could have been doing something far more useful.
Maybe she was just overconfident.
She was definitely overconfident.
I, however, am extremely cautious. You actually notice, you've noticed for the first time, and because she's put it on probably for this adventure, but she has like a ring of spell storing on her hand. So she's got probably some loaded up bad boys in there. Yeah, some backup,
Store a couple conjure elementals in that shit.
Maybe. But yeah, she definitely seems like she's come prepared with a few even wands tucked into sides of her pack and stuff. She's
like
packing
a bandolier of wands.
She's packing some heat, man. She did not come unprepared. Calthenna is no fool.
Yeah, I didn't. I expected nothing less.
You certainly look prepared. You are apparently a blade singer by training. I've never really questioned why you had a sword in your hip.
Most people don't. They're sort of a necessity.
That's true. I figured you were a fighter, and then I noticed you were a wizard, and then I was now putting the two things together. Very interesting.
Yes. Well, more than likely you will get to see me put it to use.
I hope that we get through the other side of that so I can discuss with you about how impressed or unimpressed I am with your abilities.
Oh,
we'll see.
Thank you.
I always reserve room for doubt as a researcher, of course.
Pure academic responsibility.
You understand?
No.
You guys end up. Well, actually, how do you want to proceed through the Iron District? It's pretty much the same as last time. You notice that.
I wanted to look because we know that another group left like the day before. I wanted to see if I could see tracks or anything of where they went.
Oh.
Because there was a group of like 5 or so.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. Shit. I wish I had that little map I drew of that. You definitely noticed some tracks. At first, they're just sort of meandering forward. It seems that they sort of like did like a wide search and just sort of went all about the sort of inner plaza area. And so you guys sort of follow them for a little bit. Real quick, I'm not going to make you roll for this because your character has a pretty good intelligence. You remember seeing some things. You actually noticed that a lot of the rubble that had fallen down last time that you had noticed, like roots are slowly like reaching around that stuff. And not in this moment, but now.
But they're like, I can tell that they've come farther
and they're
just
like,
in like a
grasping
day or
it
two.
around. Yeah, and then you even notice some like very precariously hanging like just like big chunks of stone, but like formed around a root. Sort of just
that was their
hanging.
There were like hanging ones before too.
Yeah, there were, but now there are like new ones as well. Either they've pulled this rubble from the ground and they're sort of bringing it back, or these are ones that are like the ones you noticed last time. But that's sort of the sense that you get, is that the roots of the trees are actually going back and picking up whatever's falling, and they're bringing it back.
Pulling it back.
To do what with? You know?
I'll point this out to both of them.
Oh yes, the trees here are very much alive and are very strange.
Just keep an eye out.
Yes, of course. I hate to be killed by falling stone.
That would be a terrible way to go.
Hugin like shrugs. Not the worst way.
Did not say it was the worst way, but it certainly is not high on my list.
You have a list?
Not one that we should discuss in here, but
Let us
yes,
continue.
strangely enough.
Let us go.
So I'll point out to them before that we sort of used routes to navigate and find paths as well. Like some of the biggest route systems that led places.
She says, "Oh, very clever. I never noticed that before."
I don't know if that may come into play, but just so that you guys know as well. And just sort of what I would have been looking for is sort of like where they join and like seem to lead somewhere. You know, where they aren't just pulling apart walls or pulling together walls, but where the root systems themselves seem to like have a clear route. And where do we see the tracks of the other people head to?
They actually end up going down the autumn paths.
Okay.
It seems like they've chosen sort of like the most obvious route. They definitely, you know, they meander a while, for a long while, sort of like up mainly the right side, and then diverged into the autumn paths eventually.
From what we know about...
Also, question.
Yes.
How are you traveling?
Okay.
Because, like, are you traveling slowly? Traveling quickly? Pace, I guess, is what I want to know.
Just to get in, we would have been going...
Quickly?
Semi-quickly, but once we're in the... So what, the Iron Bazaar?
Yes, the Iron Bazaar,
yeah. Because that's where we wanted to start, correct? And look. So... I wanted to, look for tracks, which would have been putting us at a slower pace. And then B, scope out buildings that looked like they were bigger, more important, maybe set back from, like, the main area of what... Because the Iron Bazaar was, they assumed, sort of that, like, the downtown area sort of thing.
Right, at least of this district, yeah.
This district. So look and see if we can see any remaining buildings that weren't necessarily on like the main drag and were possibly bigger or more important looking.
Okay.
Because we wanted to start there to look for any clues before we head towards the Ruby Gates.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to need you to make, let's say, an investigation check. You're looking for something off the main thoroughfare that is specific, or at least kind of specific. So go ahead and give me an investigation check. What'd you roll?
I rolled a 9.
You rolled a 9?
That's
Not
a
bad.
15.
15's not bad.
Another single digit.
Eventually roll that nat 20. I mean,
statistically, I have to.
like you just, maybe pick some new dice. Again, for like the 4th time.
At least. Hey, that's a 17!
Doesn't count.
I'm just not rolling it in this. Maybe it's the tray.
It's the tray.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's something.
Totally. Anyways.
With a 15.
With a 15.
Find something. I gotta find something.
You do end up finding sort of a more cleared out thoroughway, sort of a side street off to the left side of the entire district.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't find... You don't find any easily accessible buildings. You find a couple, though. You find one in particular, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely bigger than some of the other buildings. It's hard to make out what its purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
You do see some sort of like elven reliefs and sculptures and symbols and stuff. But you are unsure of its purpose. And the entryway inside is pretty much collapsed.
Okay.
But you do see up above a root sort of tearing in through the 2nd floor, and it leaves like a wide gap in it that you think maybe if you could somehow get up there, you could enter it in that way. But the sort of elven reliefs and structures that you see, one does stand out because you're sort of seeing some of the symbols stand out because they're similar to what was on the iron citadel, the monolith in the center.
Okay.
Those symbols of sentience and understanding and arcane.
Okay.
They're very worn down. Some of them are busted through, and you're not entirely sure. But they sort of like wreathe around in these like circles, but a lot of them are missing pieces. But these are the symbols. They sort of wreath around something else that like another symbol in relief underneath it, but you're not sure of what that is, again, because just how much damage has been done, how many pieces are missing, like rubble fallen and stuff, so you're not sure. But these look like these would have been under, or like right above the main entryway.
Gotcha. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm a little ways behind.
I always spell Tiriel's name with an H for some reason.
I don't know why. So there's a large root sort of tearing into the top of it. How close can we get to the building itself?
I mean, you can get, it depends.
Okay.
Certain areas you can get like right up on it.
Okay.
But like directly underneath where that rubble's at, there's a little bit of rubble down beneath it.
Mm-hmm.
They're all large enough that you could step on and stuff.
Okay.
Like it's not impassable. It's not impossible. Impassable.
I'll ask Calthenna and Hugin Do you guys... Do you two think you could get in here? Or
with some rope and time, I think. Let me actually look at what spells Calthenna has.
Because I could send Miles and Sindri in there together. And could scout it that way to decide if it's worth venturing into.
That is not a bad idea. Keep us from getting hurt.
Or possibly just getting stuck in there.
Yes, I think if you send the scouts, they might be able to find an easier way in.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, of course.
Okay. Then I will summon Sindri and send the two of them in. My thought was, if need be,
Oh, hey.
Hey, what?
Because I wanted her to be a conjurer.
Okay.
Yeah, she could actually Misty Step up there.
I mean, so could I, but I could also send...
Oh, you're so cool, Tiriel. You can just Misty Step wherever you want.
So can you.
Right.
Or we can send the spider.
Okay.
It's very useful if we need it. It will come in handy.
I was just trying to
I know.
talk about how cool I am.
Yes, that's fine. It's okay, we can do it together later. Make Hugin feel inferior. It'll be wonderful. Miles, do you mind climbing up there? You don't want to? So
And he
ask you to...
climbs up, he slowly inches himself towards the bottom of your ankles.
You're going to have to carry the cat as well.
Ooh.
I'm gonna shocking grasp him. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Sindri.
Your cat, however, doesn't seem very enthused by the idea. However, he obeys your commands because he's your familiar. He hops on his back, sort of digs his claws into the metal.
Like one of the joints,
Yeah.
I imagine just sort of hangs on.
Yeah, and he's sort of uneasily now attached, but two of Miles's little pincer arms wrap themselves around him to sort of keep him held together against his body. And with
Scritch Syndrome, I'm you can be an owl later, and you'll be able to do this on your own.
And with the rest of Miles' legs, he begins to climb up to the top. And eventually, when he does finally get up, and he sort of wraps himself around the roots until he's now crawling on top of them, and then he enters into the building. Are you going to be looking through Sindri's eyes? Okay. What you do see on the inside is...
tell Calthenna and Hugin to just don't let anything eat me. And
I will do my best. What they do see, what you see on the inside, through Sindri's eyes, as Miles sort of unlatches him and allows him to sort of break free. He is sort of on a balcony, overlooking inside of a building down beneath. The building, it sort of has this large opening. It's, again, pieces of the stairwell are totally collapsed in on themselves. You see roots coming in and sort of overtaking that even, and that's partially why they collapsed. He sees, even though it's far away, it's in the distance, it's, there's a lot of dust and occlusion in the air. It makes it hard for him to see.
2 points for that word.
he does see like a section of the back wall, like literally like almost like spread open from the roots, and it lets a little bit of the outside light in. And it casts light on something below. And he's seeing what looks like it might be something like a stage, or like a what would you call it? A stand, like a stone dais or something like that.
Okay.
Like for something to be on. He's also looking around. He's seeing some more of those symbols that you noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Even some mosaic reliefs on like edging the sort of upper part of the walls on the lower floor, so that people could look at these and read these and maybe go from like one section of the building to the other and sort of study these as they go. This sort of stone dais is sort of like set in the middle of the entire thing. So yeah, he's also noticing. He's noticing like a rack or something against one of the walls. He's not quite sure of what it might be. And then also sort of across the way, there is an opening, like an archway that looks like it leads off into another section.
Gotcha.
But not quite sure of what this initial room's purpose was, except it seems to like maybe showcase something.
The central platform.
Uh-huh.
Is it large? Like, does it look like it was small to display a thing, or large for like people to be on? Because you described it as a stage.
It's
first.
large.
Okay.
Whether something large went on it or whether it was something to be displayed. Go ahead and roll me an intelligence check. Maybe, something Arcana or something.
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
It'll be a 10.
A 10? Yeah, you're not quite sure.
Doesn't matter what I roll.
And with that, I'm gonna have you roll a perception test.
Okay.
And actually, I'll have Calthenna and. Well, actually, can you roll perception if you're not? You'll be rolling a disadvantage.
Well, all I would have, I'm blind to my own sight and hearing.
So
I could be rolling from inside. I thought that's what you were asking for.
Nope.
No, I shouldn't roll at all.
Then don't roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 15. That's not bad.
Well.
She rolled a 17. That's really good. And last one. Oh, come on.
Doesn't matter. I'm like, I can only roll single digits tonight, apparently. Well, there's a 19. There we go. Oh, it's so frustrating. Cool.
You're sitting there.
I'm standing.
You're standing there. But you're looking through the vision of Sindri. And you're looking around. And you're noticing all these things. And you're slowly formulating some idea in your head of what this might be. Until suddenly, you hear the familiar growling. Except...
I don't hear it.
Well, you do hear it because you're ripped out of Sindri's vision as you are pounced upon by one of these things. And it is atop you, looking down at you, its shadowy jaws, drooling, and also on your allies as well, as they're sort of in various forms of combat that they are now sucked into. And you see the familiar jaws of a shadow mastiff. It's sort of blaring, sunken, red eyes looking at you, growling at you from above. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh, it'll be 2 weeks before we do anything, and we don't do any combat.
We can maybe pick it up next week.
No.
As a continuation of this week. We will figure that out with our scheduling. However, this is where we end our tonight's session. She is devastated. It happens. We will go ahead and we will announce when we're going to next be playing on our Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll pick up where we left off. Thank you for joining us. Bye.